I would like to say two things. The first really is to perhaps give you just a little bit of background to the thinking behind the planning of this symposium, so that you can really make some judgments as to whether it achieved its purpose or not. Don't sort of put your hand up to comment, but it would be interesting to know whether you think we fulfilled our aim. And really what was behind this was the fact that there's been an awful lot of attention given to nutrition recently. In fact, in my nearly 50 years of professional life, apart from the time when there was a large amount of interest around cholesterol and saturated fat and polyunsaturated fat, there's been an enormous amount of interest recently in terms of advice for individuals, whether it's to have a low-carb diet or a high-carb diet, or whether it's to reduce salt intake, or whether it's a load of garbage, as you saw from, that very influential British newspaper, which you quoted, Rachel. But there have been equally controversial things in more distinguished newspapers around the world. And the Lancet has declared this year as being the year of nutrition. So it'll be interesting to see what we're going to see in the Lancet this year. There's already been one highly controversial paper, which has had a lot of interesting stuff, but also a lot of confusing stuff, both in terms of ecological importance and also of practical advice to individuals. What is really interesting is that very many people, including people that are regarded as experts, pontificate on nutrition with understanding very little to almost nothing about nutrition science. And what was behind our thinking here, and Winsome and I spent a lot of time talking about this, we wanted to really draw attention to some topics which were really at the basis of some of the nutritional recommendations which have been made, whether for individuals, whether they've been made in the Lancet or the BMJ, or whether they've been made in, the Sun or whatever, some other influential British newspaper. So that was really our thinking, and we chose fibre and we chose nutrition and food monitoring as two topics which have really been at the basis of a lot of what people are talking about, but haven't been aired a lot in New Zealand recently. And all I can say is that I hope you found it interesting and of some value. And I really would like to thank all the speakers who have contributed to this, to John, who's come about as far as you can to get to New Zealand, to Tracy and Stuart, who've just crossed the ditch but still had a significant journey to get here, and to everybody who has contributed to the discussions. I would like to thank everybody for coming, because there wouldn't have been a symposium if you hadn't taken the trouble to be here. So thank you to everybody who's come along.